We have a huge update on the Andrade situation. Is he already fired from AEW? Also, we got to talk about WWE getting exposed. Is this a hit piece story? I don't know. There's just a lot of drama and controversy there. Probably debunked, right? We're going to talk about that. And of course, we got to talk about this controversial spot that took place at WrestleDream. My name is Ango, and this is the Ango Show. If you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell. This way you never miss a video on the channel. And don't forget to check out nordvpn.com/Ango. If you're a wrestling fan, you guys want to watch pay-per-views, if you know, check it out. I think we should kick things off with the WrestleDream spot. Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this. If you guys saw WrestleDream, then you know that there was a very big reaction online to the fact that Darby Allin and Jon Moxley did a spot in the match in which Jon Moxley was drowning Darby Allin in a fish tank filled with water. And this has become super controversial for many, many reasons. And I don't know if people actually know my stance on this, and I kind of wanted to share it. I have been very consistent with this idea that whatever happens in professional wrestling is not real life. It is no different than a Hollywood film. And we have seen time and time again some of the most crazy things happen in Hollywood films. And for some reason, people treat pro wrestling like it's different from a TV show or a scripted TV show, scripted movie, whatever. Now, listen, for me personally, this kind of wrestling is not my taste. However, I know that, and I choose to kind of ignore it, not watch it, and I don't really care for it. So therefore, I make that conscious decision. However, parents have the opportunity to parent their children and determine what they're allowed and not allowed to watch. And I think there's been so much blowback. For example, Sarah Stock, who was a former coach and producer in AEW, she came out with a ton of tweets just basically bashing AEW here. A lot of the sickos were very upset about this. But the truth is, like, the criticism, people are valid with their criticisms here. But at the same time, too, I don't understand all this commotion. I don't understand why so many people are so bothered by the fact that people don't like this. And on the same side of the, argument I make, I don't know why people are so against the people who actually do like this kind of stuff. Listen, if you don't think, and I think the premise of Sarah Stock's tweet was like, hey, kids are going to end up dying trying this at home. Dude, parents got to be parents. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, there was things growing up as a kid you were just not allowed to watch on TV. There was things where maybe WWF took it too far, and it was like, hey, you're not allowed to watch it. Turn it off. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. So AEW did something highly controversial, but I actually, even if I'm not the biggest fan of AEW, I can't fault AEW for doing it. There is this thing where you kind of have to draw the line. Professional wrestling is professional wrestling. It is not real life. It is scripted entertainment. And if you think that it's corny or whatever, there is a decision you can make. Turn it on or turn it off. And if you're worried about kids, guys, parenting matters. So if you don't want your kids watching it, you don't want your kids watching it. I don't think this is very fair to AEW, but to be fair, I don't think the criticisms are fair to any wrestling company when it's controversial that they do something because, oh, this is too real life or it resembles things too much in the real world. Guys, it's scripted entertainment. I don't like this. If Hollywood movies are able to get away with it, why can't professional wrestling? There was a topic that came out last week that WWE was essentially using ChatGPT or some form of AI for its TV show writing. And then, of course, this took the internet by storm. And last week, I was sick with a cold, and obviously, I could have made the video telling you guys about it, but then a couple days later, you get it debunked. So Sean Ross Sapp debunks this. WWE is not actually using AI to write storylines, but they are using AI tools, for production or for, organizational things of that nature, right? And so basically what has happened was Dave Meltzer initially put out a report that WWE was using AI. SmackDown happens. It's a really, really good episode. And everybody's talking about AI, WWE using AI. It's cheating the system, whatever. So now it's been debunked that WWE actually isn't using AI for storylines. But Dave Meltzer comes out with this whole thing, and he's talking about Bobby Lashley being like a huge fan of Japanese wrestling and having a character inspired by it. And it just didn't seem legit. It just seemed like he was being fed wrong information. And then days go by where WWE is being heavily criticized for this. WWE gets exposed for this. WWE is having all this negative press. And I don't know what it is about this particular stuff with AI that people get, I think they get so up in arms with WWE about. But the truth is, if WWE was using ChatGPT, for example, to write storylines, you got to be an idiot, right? Like to actually believe that. Because it's not going to write good storylines. No matter how hard you try, the prompts, it doesn't matter. What makes wrestling good is somebody actually having their pulse on what is good or bad, not some artificial intelligence system. So WWE is getting a lot of blowback for this, and then it turns out it gets debunked. But now we're in a situation where WWE was getting exposed because of misinformation. And then the problem is, on the internet, there's always this anti-WWE or anti-AEW narrative in the sense that, like, it's not genuine. People just simply focus on bashing whatever company. I don't get it. I don't respond to it. I don't like it. But the truth is, WWE is in a situation where using AI is going to be beneficial. I hate to tell you guys this. I know AI is very controversial, but there's going to be people who are either using AI to their advantage, or there's going to be people who don't use AI to their advantage. Just like back in the day, there was people who used iPhones to their advantage, and there was people who didn't. Now you can have a whole career off of your iPhone, and obviously a year or two from now, maybe even multiple years from now, you're going to have a whole career just based on knowing how to use AI. It's not going away. Personally speaking, I don't like AI. I think it's kind of scary, but also I realized at the end of the day, it's getting pushed out. All these companies are using it in some sort of fashion. It's very, 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 very much like WWE to sit there and be ahead of the curve with everything, just like they were with streaming, right? They knew the future was streaming, so they got involved with streaming. WWE is not actively writing storylines with AI, okay? They're not actively doing that. But if they're using it to remove background noise from backstage segments, if they're using it to be organized with certain things, from a back office perspective, what is the issue here? And that's where Dave's report really comes off as you're being fed wrong information to smear the company, and people are not a fan of it. People are not a fan of it whatsoever, and people are not liking it. And that is very, very, very problematic. And this brings us to our final topic regarding Andrade. Has he been fired from AEW? Well, it sounds like yes. It sounds like he's not with AEW anymore. This has been one of the craziest stories in all of last week. There has been a ton of talk in the last week, and I've been waiting for more information. And I'm basically going to break it down. Andrade was fired from WWE due to multiple wellness policy violations. And then comes out that in WWE, they have a new clause where if you're in breach of contract, you are not allowed to work anywhere for 1 year. Then AEW brings them in. Apparently they don't know about this, but that was the breach of contract. So now it comes out that AEW no longer is working with Andrade. That doesn't mean he's gone permanently. It doesn't mean they won't bring him back after a year. But what this means is that essentially AEW, for legal reasons, can't use Andrade. And then you have a very, very, very interesting dynamic here because Andrade is in a situation where, truth be told, Andrade, he could probably fight this in court. I'm not a lawyer, but I mean, we've seen some of the things happen over the course of a year or two, last few years. It's really gone more in favor of, like, the US has gone more in favor with companies not having non-compete clauses and stuff like that. It's very pro-workers. Obviously, WWE wrestlers are not employees. They're independent contractors. So realistically, in the court of law, this is probably one of those things where, like, Andrade probably would win, right? That's the major consensus if you look online. Like, yeah, Andrade probably would win this case. The problem is, to win the case, it's going to take a long time, could even take longer than a year, and it's going to be expensive. which is why a lot of people feel WWE is even doing this to begin with, because it keeps him away from AEW a lot longer. Now, even at the WWC show in Puerto Rico, Andrade did show up, but he was not shown on TV. And this is because of the same issue that he has currently going with WWE. So Tony Khan is keeping it very tight-lipped, but the belief is that AEW has cut ties with Andrade for this reason. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't bring him back later on when it's all figured out or whatever, but this is one of the most insane wrestling stories we've had all year, and the reason for that is largely just due to the fact that Andrade and WWE, it came out of nowhere. And listen, for WWE, I think WWE, listen, man, Andrade didn't work out. You guys didn't have big plans for him. It was inevitable. You knew he was going to go to AEW. Was there really a purpose of doing this? And I get it, TKO in business, it makes sense. They're allowed to do it. It's the same thing I used to say about Tony Khan and Ray Phoenix. Like, is it really worth it, bro? Is it really, really worth it? No, at the end of the day, it's not, man. You don't need to have tribalistic thoughts here. This is quite simple, bro. You don't have plans for them. You're not going to use them. Why prevent them from making money somewhere else? It's not like Andrade is going to AEW and being this big ratings draw. I personally don't think it hurts WWE's business. I don't think it hurts WWE at all. I don't even think it really helps AEW in the slightest. Just like Ray Phoenix and the Lucha Bros coming to WWE. Is it fun to watch them in WWE? Yes. Do I enjoy their WWE run more? Yes. But is it genuinely helping WWE's business? I don't think. I think it's a collective thing, bro. I don't think it's just one talent who does it all. So me personally, I think this is such a strange situation. But if I'm being very honest with you guys, Andrade being fired from AEW makes a lot of sense. It makes sense if he's actually let go. You can't deal with this. If you're Tony Khan, you cannot be dealing with this right now. But if you're Triple H, if you're Nick Khan, if you're TKO, is it really worth it for you either? To prevent somebody for a year and you're not paying him, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? We're not talking about a guy who is the most famous wrestler, man. At the end of the day, it's important that WWE and AEW take care of talent. And I have seen examples from both sides where sometimes that isn't always the case. They both need to be a lot better about it. In this particular story, I think WWE should just say, fuck it. And here you go. Go do your thing. I don't know. Very tricky situation, man. But Andrade is gone from AEW. Technically, he's back in WWE. Sort of. Kind of. Strange situation, bro. Strange situation.